What is the easiest way to hype up a character and make them seem stronger? If you watch anime, you'd have to assume that the best method is a one-sided battle. It's a commonly used trope in all mediums, but especially anime. From Dragon Ball Z to Fate, nothing tells you someone is strong more than them beating someone else without breaking a sweat. Hunter x Hunter is the best at doing this. While other notable examples like Fullmetal Alchemist do it excellently, Hunter x Hunter does consistently well. But before we can really get into why Hunter x Hunter did so well, we can dig into what a one-sided battle really is. One-sided battles are a common trope used in all forms of entertainment where battle is a central theme. It dates back to the Bible with the infamous David and Goliath, where David beats the giant Goliath with a single shot from a simple sling to knock him off his feet, and then uses his staff to decapitate him. In movies, one-sided battles are called curb stomps, and you can see them in almost every superhero movie in the first or second act, when a villain beats the hero. Video games have their own version, called flawless victories, which you can see some variant of in almost every game from the last decade. Even professional wrestling has their own term for it. When a wrestler comes out victorious without any defense on the opponent's side, it's called a squash match. As for anime, one of the earliest examples I remember is Dragon Ball Z. It happens almost every arc in Dragon Ball Z in fact, but the one that always stands out to me is Goku vs. Nappa. In 4 episodes, Nappa is able to beat every supporting character without any real struggle, which is a one-sided battle in itself. When Goku shows up, Goku manages to defeat Nappa without taking a single hit. They use the initial one-sided battle to establish Nappa as a threat, only to extinguish that immediately with Goku, which tells us Goku is on a whole nother level. For a more recent example, we have Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, in the fight between Rory Mustang and Lust. This fight starts out with Lust easily defeating both Rory Mustang and one of his men, Gene Havoc. She even thinks they're both dead, so she abandons their bodies and moves on to a different target, Rory Mustang's second in command, Frieza Hawkeye. Rory returns to the battle to defend Hawkeye, only to instantaneously and ruthlessly burn Lust alive in an unforgettable fashion. At its surface, it doesn't seem so one-sided. Lust even thinks she kills Mustang, but the way Mustang is handled by mangaka Hiromu Arakawa tells us a different story. Mustang is able to heal his wounds from Lust, and then he proceeds to defeat Lust without being touched. Mustang's rage completely changes the impact of this scene, making an even battle feel completely one-sided. Another common variant on the trope is where, despite one side clearly being superior in combat, they lose for some reason that doesn't concern their opponent's strength, not only hyping up their character, but advancing the plot in favor of the opponent, despite the opponent obviously not being strong enough. A good example of that would be in Fairy Tail with the fight between Elfman and Bacchus. Bacchus is faster and stronger than Elfman as well as unpredictable. That's established almost immediately. However, Elfman uses magic to transform into a beast with spiked armor, so that Bacchus gets damaged every time he strikes Elfman. Bacchus continuously hits Elfman, but the spikes cause damage to Bacchus, eventually forcing Bacchus to lose. Despite Bacchus looking stronger than Elfman in almost every way, Elfman could still come out on top. This variation of the trope is used a lot in Hunter x Hunter, so let us dig right into Hunter x Hunter. For me, there are 3 reasons why Hunter x Hunter has much more exceptional one-sided battles than other anime, including the previous examples. Reason 1, variety. The 3 examples I'll be giving are all very different, even if there's just supposed to be one side winning without any challenge. The second reason is depth. In most fights you'll see how either the winner, the loser, or the crowd of the one-sided battle sees things, but you won't ever get all 3. In Hunter x Hunter, you'll get every perspective. Hunter x Hunter also has a lot more to the fights themselves than just one-hit victories. They're treated with more respect than a gimmick to build a character, which certainly isn't exclusive to Hunter x Hunter, but it's still worth noting. And for my final reason, unpredictability. When a fight is set up and we don't know the result, it's all the more shocking when one side crushes the opposition. Seeing a giant beat a twig isn't shocking, but a twig beating a giant is unforgettable. And so with that, we have our 3 reasons: variety, depth, and unpredictability. Many other shows have that at times, but it's never been as consistent as it is for Hunter x Hunter. The first fight I want to talk about is the fight between Hanzo and Gon, which is the final full fight of the first arc. In this matchup, there's a prerequisite that a fighter must force their opponent to submit, and they are not allowed to kill them. which is what makes this fight so unique for a one-sided battle right away. You can't just defeat your opponent, you need them to quit. The two combatants are our main character Gon and a shinobi named Hanzo. If you ever watched a single episode and just saw the two fighting, you'd think the victor would be Hanzo, but from watching it, you know that Gon is the main character and Hanzo has hardly gotten any screen time, so you think Gon has to win. Your gut is telling you Hanzo has to win, but your mind is telling you the main character will win against a character who has hardly gotten any screen time so far. In the fight itself, as soon as it starts, even Gon knows in his gut that Hanzo is stronger, so he attempts to gain distance between them, but Hanzo catches up in the blink of an eye. The strength difference becomes painfully clear right then, and you know how the fight is going to go. Hanzo is just that much stronger than our 12-year-old protagonist. As the fight progresses, Gon is tortured by Hanzo in a very straightforward way, which is all the more effective in Hunter x Hunter, as up till now, the writer has deceived the audience with roundabout solutions to desperate issues. But when Hanzo tortures Gon, the audience and Gon is told there is no special and unique way out of it. The way that's presented is Hanzo grabbing Gon's arm as he's pinned down and telling Gon that if Gon doesn't quit, he'll break Gon's arm. There is no special way out of it. Gon just can't escape and has to surrender to Hanzo, or Hanzo will break his arm. It's a shocking contrast to the rest of the arc. Sure enough, Gon doesn't quit, and his arm is immediately broken. And the torture keeps up, yet Gon still doesn't quit. Finally, after hours of Hanzo torturing Gon, Hanzo gains a respect for Gon's stubbornness, but also sees that there is no quit in Gon's eyes. So Hanzo quits to end the match, as Hanzo can't kill Gon to progress. This fight is talked about a lot for what happens after it, but the fight itself shows development for both Gon and Hanzo, as well as a unique way to progress the plot for Gon while not deteriorating Hanzo's skill. It deserves a lot more credit from fans and reviewers alike for its unique use of the one-sided battle trope, as well as just a good fight on its own. For the second fight, we go to the beginning of the York New arc, with Uvogin versus the Shadow Beasts in yet another underrated fight. It's best to describe this fight as a tug-of-war, which may sound like the exact opposite of a one-sided battle, but it's everything a one-sided battle could hope to be. This fight is between a member of the Phantom Troop, who we've heard about since the first episode, and a group that we've heard about for only a couple episodes, called the Shadow Beasts. We've never seen either side fight, and it's a 1 versus 4, with us hearing stories of both sides, so there's no way of telling how it will go right from the outset. Quick warning, there is no way for me to explain what makes this fight great without giving a play-by-play, so if you wish to experience it in the better way, you should go watch it and then come back to this video. The fight starts with one of the Shadow Beasts named Worm punching Uvogin, but Worm's hand immediately breaks on contact. This, on a very short scale, shows the tug-of-war I mentioned. Worm gets the first punch, but it backfires immediately, bringing it back to Uvogin's side. Uvogin throws a punch at Worm, and it connects, but Worm reacts instantly, grabbing Uvogin's arm and tunneling underground, with that capturing his arm below the surface. Uvogin then charges his clenched fist so it becomes more powerful. He then punches the ground where Worm is, causing an explosion underneath him, leaving behind only Worm's amputated arm and a crater. Uvogin proceeds to punch another Shadow Beast named Porcupine, but his hair acts as a barrier, stopping the punch. While Uvogin is distracted with Porcupine, a third Shadow Beast called Rabid Dog takes a bite out of Uvogin's neck, then a second bite, gnawing through Uvogin's thigh. Rabid Dog proceeds to inform Uvogin that his teeth are laced with a powerful tranquilizer, making it so anything below Uvogin's neck cannot move. The final Shadow Beast there, Leech, starts inserting leech eggs into an open neck wound of the now tranquilized Uvogin. It really doesn't feel like a one-sided battle at this point. The Shadow Beasts have lost a member, but Uvogin is on the ropes. Both sides are taking heavy hits, and if this is a tug-of-war, Uvogin is almost being pulled across the line by the 3 remaining Shadow Beasts. Just when things were looking bad for Uvogin, however, he tells the Shadow Beast that all he needs to beat them is his non-tranquilized head. Uvogin just reaches his head over and takes a large chomp out of Leech's skull, killing Leech in the blink of an eye. Uvogin then spits a fragment of the skull at Rabid Dog, piercing Rabid Dog's forehead like a bullet. Now within 2 actions, it's become a 1-on-1 between Uvogin and Porcupine, Porcupine's hair is still acting as a barrier, and Uvogin still only has his head. Uvogin takes a long and deep breath, only to yell at Porcupine at such a volume that the ground shakes, and Porcupine's eardrum bursts, killing him with nothing but a shout. For the duration of the fight, it seems like an even fight, even at one point seeming like the Shadow Beasts were the clear victor, but by the end, we see that Uvogin was only toying around. Uvogin managed to beat 3 of them using not only just his head, but only his mouth. He killed them by only biting, spitting, and shouting. By making Uvogin look weak at first, it only makes his feat all the stronger. By building up the Shadow Beast's strength, we get to see that they pale in comparison to a member of the Phantom Troop. Most other shows would never use weakness as a way to show strength. It'd seem counterintuitive, but it's that weakness that Uvogin shows at first that sells how powerful he really is. For my final example, it was honestly a hard pick. I wanted to include 4 or 5 different fights from the assault on the palace in the Chimera Ant arc, but I settled on the fight between Meruem and Netero. I was originally going to pick the fight between Gon and Neferpitou, but that fight was interesting in a character development way, but not in a real discussion about one-sided battles. Back to Meruem and Netero. This is a fight between the 2 strongest individuals in the Hunter x Hunter anime, the chairman of the Hunter Association Netero, and the king of the Chimera Ants Meruem. Even though these 2 are without a doubt the 2 strongest at this point, that doesn't mean they're near equals. Netero is only human, and Meruem is part of a species that has already evolved past humans. It's not nearly a fair fight between the 2. This fight, while being chock full of story relevance, deeper meaning, and beautiful animation, also serves as a great fight scene between 2 mighty leaders. This fight is speed against strength. Netero is so fast they can push Meruem away every time Meruem gets close, but Netero isn't strong enough to do anything more than push Meruem away. Meruem could take out Netero in a single hit if he wanted to, but he's not able to get to Netero due to being constantly shoved back. I don't want to ruin the deeper meaning behind the symbolism, so I'll be sticking to just the fight itself. This fight is purely an endurance battle. All of Netero's attacks don't leave a scratch, but Meruem isn't able to land any attacks. The battle itself lasts almost 25 minutes in real time, which is the longest battle on this list, and at its simplest, it's just Netero hitting Meruem away, only for Meruem to get back up. What keeps that interesting, however, is all the layers of the battle beyond just the fight mechanics. By making this fight much more artistic in its representation, it's able to hold up on its own and entertain despite being such a simple premise. Meruem keeps getting hit, but hatches a strategy that since the hits do no damage, he's able to let himself get thrashed about for the sake of learning Netero's pattern. As Meruem learns Netero's simple but effective strategy, he then finds an opening, and as such, he lunges at Netero at the first clear opening he sees, removing Netero's leg halfway up the thigh. With the loss of his leg, Netero is exposing more openings to Meruem, and Meruem quickly takes Netero's arm as well. Netero is now down to an arm and a leg, but that's when Netero reveals his trump card. He's been hiding a miniature nuclear bomb in his heart, and it only blows up when his heart stops. Netero pierces his own heart, and an explosion instantly erupts, killing both Netero and Meruem. What makes that fight special is that it developed a fight where a clear superior of the 2 arose, but it didn't make the second strongest in the Hunter x Hunter universe seem weak in comparison. Netero is still the second strongest, and his strength doesn't feel diminished, despite not being able to scratch the strongest. The other feats it achieves as just a fight is making the single concept of pushing Meruem back into a full-fledged fight and not boring the audience. By adding symbolism, artistic interpretation of what's happening, and giving us insight into both Meruem and Netero's mind, the battle rages on as a lot more complex than it would ever look otherwise. It's a feast for both the eyes and the mind that ends unpredictably and memorably, despite being about just a single guy pushing another guy away so he doesn't get hit. So simple, yet so much depth always on display. Ultimately, I think Hunter x Hunter's biggest advantage in the one-sided battles is that it's determined not to just give you a fight that you only remember for being one-sided. It would be easy to make the fight simply be someone strong defeats someone else that's strong with ease. A victory with one hit or something along those lines. Scenes like that are great for building up a character quickly, but they're not good as just scenes. Hunter x Hunter never forfeits the scene to being unremarkable for the sake of a quick plot tool. Whether Hunter x Hunter goes about it by toying with expectations or giving you a lot of depth beyond just a standalone fight, Hunter x Hunter always manages to achieve greatness. There are a lot that I didn't talk about just because this video would stretch on for hours, but all the fights are worth checking out. This has been my first video, and I'm quite interested in making more, so if you liked it, let me know what you liked, and more importantly, if you didn't like it, let me know what I got wrong. I'll hopefully see you guys in the next video, so goodbye until then.